I'm sorry, not the ninth. I'm sorry, the 8th of October, which is Friday. The tournament starts, I want to say, about noon. The registration and signups is at 11. And I think the first event starts around noon. So when I get down there, obviously I'll find out what ring I need to go to, and there's no formal warm ups where you line up with your classmates and you go through some stretches and different techniques. It's all on you to be ready. And when they call your name, you better be ready because if you don't, you can get a points deduction for delay of whatever you're doing. So if you're doing form, you get a delay, or form sparring, whatever. So when they say, you know, let's say Smith and Jones, Smith and Jones better be ready to go. So, uh, so that's a little bit about what's coming up. Now, I want to take this time to relay a very very personal story and how I got involved with this whole thing. This whole thing started when I was probably 7 or 6 years old. My grandfather introduced me to the martial arts. Whenever I'd stay with him, we'd always watch. They call them, kung fu movies. Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon, Chuck Norris, um, you name it. Those old, poorly dubbed Chinese imported. I guess you'd almost consider them a spaghetti western, more like a chow mein uh, karate show. So they had hundreds of them, and they were very popular, especially in the 70s. And so whenever I stayed with my grandfather, we'd watch these kung fu movies. He's the one that took me to see the Karate Kid. Every person in this planet, well, maybe not planet, that's probably stretching it, but at least in the United States, has at least seen the Karate Kid, and they would know if I did that karate pose where the crane pose, and I said, "What's this from?" I bet you 9 out of 10 would be able to say that's from the Karate Kid. So he introduced me to the martial arts. Now at the same time, my school, I was in elementary school at the time, and one of the assemblies we had, the karate school, local karate school, came and did some demonstrations, and some of the people that were doing the demonstrations were, you know, my classmates and older students, obviously, and they were doing, they were breaking boards and doing all these kicks and flips and stuff. And I was like, oh, I really, really, really want to do that, and I think I must have, I don't know how many times I begged, I want to do karate, I want to do karate, I want to do karate, and I was always told no. My dad would not let me do karate, not because he thought I would get hurt or anything like that. In his mind, I would have used what I learned in class and beat up my sister. Now, people will say, no, he wouldn't have done that. And if you knew me at all back then, you would be agreeing with my dad. I was a real turd as a kid. I used to torment my sister. She and I were never real close growing up because I was always real older brother mean to her, and I regret it now. Because obviously I'm a lot older and we're a lot closer now. So, uh, so if she ever watches this, I'm sorry. I was just a bad kid. So we uh, were never allowed to do it, and I was doing some stuff. I was uh, I don't know if you'd call it a friend, but I had some people that would show me things, like they had taken karate and would show me how to do different things. Growing up through junior high school and stuff, I used to get in a lot of fights. I got picked on a lot because I was always small for my age. When I was in high school, 10th grade, I was playing football, and I was the second smallest person on my team, but only by a couple of pounds. I was like, I don't know, 5'7", 5'8" maybe, and I weighed 140 pounds playing tight end. So you work in the offensive line, basically, and you weigh 140 pounds, and you got guys on the other side of the line, the defensive side, that are 170, 180 pounds. So I was always small for my age. I got picked on a lot, and I wish that I would have been able to take karate when I was a kid, and maybe I wouldn't have got picked on so much. But that's all, water on the bridge. That's all in the past now. But many many years, I never really even really thought about it. It's like, yeah, well, maybe if I ever have the time and the money, I'll go do it. And so I was like, well, I just happened to be watching, I don't know, watching Netflix or something, and I saw a preview for Cobra Kai, and I was like, what? Cobra Kai? What is this? This, because they had the three karate movies with Miyagi and Larusso. Ralph Macchio, Pat Morita. Three karate movies, and then you had the one come out with the Hillary something or other, Hillary Duff or Hillary Swank, or I don't remember, but with Pat Morita, and then they came out with the Jackie Chan version, which I've never seen that, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of Jackie Chan. I mean, he's got his place, but I'm not really a fan of Jackie Chan. I'm more of a fan of like the early '80s kind of karate movies. So anyway, so we were watching, or I was watching, me and my cat. So uh, myself and Psycho, where's she at? She's playing with my sparring gear. She's laying on the floor playing with it. She and I were watching Cobra Kai. And I was like, well, this is just the first season. I'm like, well, this is just, basically a rehash of the movie. They just swap roles. In this version, you know, um, Johnny Lawrence is Miyagi to this kid Miguel, the Daniel son of this, and then of course the Daniel Larusso character is the hot-headed John Kreese from. So they kind of switch roles, and they're like, well, this is kind of interesting. I mean, some of the fight sequences are really really intricate, so I kind of watched it, and then I got sucked into it, and I binge watched the whole series in like a day and a half. Right now, of course, there's only 3 seasons out. The fourth one's supposed to be coming out pretty soon. I guess they got delayed for COVID, but so the fourth season should be coming out, and I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot like the third movie because of the preview trailer I saw that has like Terry Silver coming back, which is like the bad guy from, well, not the bad guy, but the bad sensei from the third movie. So we'll see how that shapes up. I'm looking forward to it. So on that note, I'm going to uh, dedicate this next tournament, my first tournament, to my grandfather. He's passed on now, so if there is a heaven, I don't know. I'm not a religious guy, and he's watching down on me. Hopefully, he'll be able to be there to coach me through it. We'll see, because I never really got to spend a lot of time with him because I was I was gone in the military and stuff. He was a Marine, like I was a Marine, and when I graduated boot camp, he wanted to carry my duffel bag, my sea bag, full of all my uniform crap. When I graduated, and I was like, it's really heavy, He said, I have to do this. I have to do this. And of course, he served in the Korean War, and we're doing South Korean style martial arts. So that's the double whammy. So uh, hopefully he's looking down, and he's proud. So we'll see how that goes.